Today, we're going to talk about how to solve problems where you feel you have to choose between two alternatives, and neither alternative is very appealing. Both of your options have problems with them. These situations, of course, are very frustrating. Maybe you're in a relationship with someone. Should you get married? Or stay married if you already are married? Or should you break up? Should you remain in your current job that seems very secure and stable? Or should you take the risk of finding a new one you might enjoy more? Should you do what you love and stay broke? Or sell out to make more money? These are problems where you might find yourself in a situation saying, I don't know what to do about X. They're all problems where you feel you have to choose between two or more options, and you don't like any of the options. None of them seem good. So you end up doing nothing. Nothing, that is, maybe except for ever more deeply exploring the options you already know about. But all that tells you is you still don't like the options. And you end up getting into a situation where you feel you eventually just have to decide. You don't like having to make the decision. You don't like the options that present themselves, but you don't see any alternatives. Staying put doesn't seem right, and choosing option A or option B doesn't seem right either. But you feel like you need to do something to get past this roadblock. And no matter what you do, even if it's nothing at all, it's going to lead to pain of some sort. It's not going to be really a very good solution. And this, my friends, is the state known as learned helplessness. It's not a pleasant state to be in, but fortunately, it's a state you can move past. And as you'll see later in this podcast, when you enter this state, it can actually become a blessing for you down the road. How do we end up in these situations? Really, we create these situations for ourselves. If you view the problem as happening to you rather than a problem you're creating, you really can't solve it. That's what puts you in the situation of either or thinking, where you have to choose either option A or option B. But either or thinking is a myth. It's very limited thinking. It's thinking too narrowly. And it's especially thinking of the problem on a level where it cannot be solved, at least not solved very satisfactorily. When you think in terms of either or, in terms of multiple options, none of which are really very good, none of which are really what you want, you block better solutions from coming to you. What happens is that your thinking becomes cyclical. You just start alternating between viewing one option after another, just going in a circle. The key to getting past this pattern is to realize that none of these options are what you really want, and that you should reject all of them. But we think we can't do that because we think those are all the options we have available. And of course, this simply isn't true. When you think this way, you create unnecessary pain. You paralyze yourself, and you perpetuate the very problem that you would like to solve. So when you have an either-or situation, and you don't like any of the options, go ahead and reject them all. Stop clinging so desperately to the solutions that you don't like, and which you aren't implementing anyway. You're just putting it off. So just let them go. Just let go of all of them. Make it okay for you to have a problem that is unsolved where you don't know what the solution is. Just allow the problem to be. And what you want to do is identify what's known as a third alternative solution. And a third alternative solution is one where it does meet all your criteria, but it's one that perhaps you cannot even imagine right now. It's somewhere outside your consciousness. It's outside your thinking. What you have to do, though, is bring this solution into your consciousness, to bring it into your thinking, to invite it in. You don't really identify or find third alternative solutions. It's really a process whereby you create them. Let me give you some ideas for how to create these third alternative solutions now. First of all, stop thinking there are only two solutions or however many number of limited solutions you've identified. Open your mind to more possibilities. Computers have to think in binary terms. Human beings don't. It's often enough just to allow new solutions to come to you. Sometimes if you just simply reject the solutions you don't like and you just allow yourself to remain in that sometimes uncomfortable space of not having a solution, of not even having an option, that you'll invite it in because you'll stop your cyclical thinking and you'll start thinking more open-endedly. Secondly, broaden your perspective. Step back from the problem. Now, this is often advice given in general terms. I'll give you some more specific things to do in order to apply this. Look at your problem from different perspectives in terms of thinking about it how other people or even other objects would view your problem. How would the other people involved in your problem view the situation? Try to see it from their perspective. Take some time to journal about it. Write what their perspective on the problem is. Or go talk to them and ask them about it if that's possible. Ask yourself how a scientist would view your problem. Ask yourself how a philosopher would view your problem. How would an artist view it? A football coach? A billionaire? A cat? A tree? God? Try expanding your perspective to these other alternatives. You can also change your perspective instead of in terms of position. You can change your perspective in terms of time. How would you have thought of this problem 5 years ago, 10 years ago? How would a 5-year-old think about it? How would an 85-year-old think about it? How will you think about it 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Sometimes problems that seem very real in the present moment change completely when you view them from outside of the present moment. When you change your time perspective, you suddenly realize it becomes silly. I often have these situations with my 5-year-old daughter. I might be having a problem that seems frustrating, and to her, it's no big deal at all. To her, it's something to laugh about. And of course, I have the same perspective on some of her problems. Some of the problems she seems to encounter at age 5 seem utterly trivial to me. It's just a matter of she'll outgrow them. Broadening your perspective can really help in terms of seeing the problems from multiple angles because, for one, it can help you immediately escape some of the pain of the problem. Just by seeing it from another perspective, you can begin to look at your previous perspectives as perhaps a little bit silly, even trivial. So by reducing a little bit of the pain, you'll be able to open yourself up more to that third alternative solution coming in. Focusing too much on the pain and the frustration you're feeling will only block those solutions from coming to you. Thirdly, accept the problem. How many times do we have problems in our lives and we don't even accept that they exist? We deny them, or we resent their existence. By accept them, I mean accept it not only intellectually, but also accept it emotionally. Accept that it's here to teach you something. Stop resenting its very existence. Stop resenting its very presence in your life. Accept that this is a problem you're going to have to deal with, and it's here, and it's for you. And when you accept a problem and you simply just say, all right, if this is what I have to deal with, it's what I have to deal with. That, again, helps to elevate your thinking and to invite those third alternative solutions. Fourthly, redefine the problem. Let's say you have a problem where your roommate is driving you nuts. If you define the problem in that way, it's impossible to solve because you have to gain control of your roommate, which you can't do. So redefine the problem to one that you can solve. Make it a problem that's from your perspective so you have control over it. For example, if your roommate's driving you nuts, you could redefine the problem as, I'm feeling stressed, or I'm upset, or I'm frustrated. And then you can start to work on ways to reduce your level of stress, reduce your level of frustration, regardless of what other people do. And you may find, as I do, that often when you attack the problem from your own perspective, it actually gets solved from the other person's perspective too. In other words, if your roommate is driving you nuts and you're feeling stressed about it, if you work on your own stress, you may find it's not merely a matter of thinking good about the problem and still having it exist, but the fact that you become less stressed, you stop contributing to the creation of the problem, and your roommate is no longer doing those things that will set you off. Does this make sense? So sometimes working on the problem from your own perspective, even when it seems like it's a foolish way to do it, will often work because you often cannot see the ways in which you are creating the problem through your own thinking, through your own actions. Another way to have a third alternative solution is to focus your intention on what you want, even when you don't think it's possible to get it. Keep holding that intention. Create an intention even when you can't see a path to it. For example, I want to enjoy a loving, intimate relationship. Maybe you don't know whether your current relationship is the right one for you, or whether you should seek out a new one. So relax your intention a little bit and focus just on what you want. What you really want is that you're open to all possibilities, but you want a loving, intimate relationship, whether it's with your current partner or with somebody else. So allow for the possibility of your current relationship to transform or for it to end. Be open and accepting to either alternative. Another example? I want to do what I love and make a great living doing it. So focus your intention on those and possibilities. Making a great living and enjoying doing it. It's a win-win solution. It's not an either-or solution. You see, seemingly unsolvable either-or problems are really a blessing. When we encounter them, it forces us to elevate our thinking. And once we do that, the pain disappears and the solution appears. So whenever you have one of these frustrating either-or problems where none of the options look like they're right, the real solution is that you have to elevate your thinking. Your thoughts are creating the problem. You're not merely observing it, you're also actively creating it, on ways you probably don't even realize. And if you stop thinking in binary terms, you'll stop living a binary life. Binary approaches to problems can only solve binary problems, but many of the problems of life are not binary in nature. They're much more complicated. Better yet, we make them more complicated by refusing to see how simple they are. We approach the problem from the level where it cannot be solved, instead of elevating our thinking to a level where the problem either is very easily solvable or even completely disappears. Many of the problems you experience at the age of 5, for example, disappear completely by the time you're 25. They don't even need to be solved anymore. Let me give you a personal example. I had to deal with some either-or problems when I was running my games business. And this is very common for anybody who works in the computer gaming industry. Big question everyone asks is, should I make a game I really love, one that I'd really be passionate about making, or should I make a game that I know will sell, but I might not enjoy making it as much? And oftentimes people come about these solutions because they see the games that are selling really well, and so they want to do another game like those so they can have a top seller, but they often look at those games and think they're not very good. They don't like them. They see that the games maybe are selling for reasons other than the developer's passion. That maybe they're selling more for marketing or sales reasons, and the individual game developer doesn't want to do that. They want to focus on the creative aspects, on the passion, on doing what they love, on enjoying the process. And so it's very common to set up this situation, a classic situation of passion versus profits. Which do you choose? Do you go the passion route or do you go the profit route? Do you do what you love or do you sell out for money? Well, of course, just like any other person in this gaming industry, I had to solve the same problem. But my solution was to redefine the problem. Instead of saying passion or profits, I changed it to passion and profits or nothing. This is what Stephen Covey calls win-win or no deal. And be totally comfortable accepting no deal. And of course, this passion versus profits problem goes well beyond the gaming industry. It goes into every industry, every line of work. You see, the truth is that if you feel that in your current line of work, you can't enjoy both passion and profits, then you're in the wrong line of work. And that's where you need to elevate your thinking. If you're in a relationship and you can't experience and enjoy both giving and receiving, you're in the wrong relationship. You need to abandon these either-or problems and go for win-win or no deal. And no deal doesn't mean doing nothing. It means you cut your losses and get out. It means definitely doing something. When you hit the point of no deal, it's because you've already tried to strike a deal. To make a job work for you, to make a relationship work for you. So if no deal is the solution, then no deal it is. You're done. My challenge for you now is to identify one of those either-or roadblocks in your life, and to use the concepts described in this podcast to create a third alternative solution. One that you truly consider a win. Refuse to settle for any solution that leaves you in pain. And until next time, live consciously.